Hello, welcome in. I'll be doing a bit of energy healing tonight. Tonight I want to focus on the throat chakra. The throat chakra is located in the throat. It kind of specified with the color blue. So I'll be using a lot of blue crystals during this energy healing. But let me know, how have you been doing? How's this week been for you? It's finally Friday. Yes. At long last. Hello. How are you all doing? Stressful. Yep. It's been a heavy week. I think it's just heavy all the time now. I don't know what's happening. That's good. That's good that it was a good week. It's been a while. Hello. For this, anything you feel called to. You could look at the screen if you kind of want to write into the chat what's going on with you. If you just want to listen to what's going on and look away from the screen, you could do that as well. I know a lot of people join the live just because it helps kind of relieve that energy, allows you to kind of just de-stress. A lot of people use it to fall asleep. That's good too. Hello. How are you? House hunting. Oh, I hear you. I'm just going back to the chat. Stressful. Good luck with the college decisions. My fingers crossed. I know college is stressful. Thank you, Anne. I love your content too. You keep it real, and I think that's important right now. I'm trying to figure out how to keep things kind of grounded. What's spiritual? How do we ground ourselves back into reality? Hey, Coco. For now, it's pretty good, Rachel. No need to fight anyone yet. How is this in 4K? I'm not sure. But yeah, I've been dealing with just figuring out how to ground more. How do you balance spirituality? How do you balance kind of being in the 3D and the physical world? And that's something that I think is really important. Hey Haley, how's it going? Really? That's good. That means my internet is finally working for me. But yeah, I think it's good to kind of lean both into spirituality and into the science. I don't like the 3D either. But I feel like we come here to experience it. The wave of emotions. Hey Spellbound Girl, how's it going? So I'm going to be doing a bit of Reiki healing and crystal healing. So I'm lifting any heavy energies that might be affecting you. Any dark, dense energies. Anything blocking any of the chakras. I am focusing specifically on the throat chakra right now, but you might feel this anywhere. Maybe the angle? I'm not sure. That's good. But yeah, I think it's good to kind of be in the 3D, but also understand I'm not in the darkness. I don't know, maybe last week I saw Batman and it was kind of looming over me. But yeah, how do we live in the 3D and balance our own spirituality? I'm sorry about your loss. I'm sending you healing. I'm sending you light. And I think a good place to start, those of us that are just kind of beginning off on that spiritual journey, kind of leaning into meditation, focused meditation, mindful meditation. That's a good way to kind of recenter and refocus the mind. Because I find myself I want distractions. So I'll come onto the app sometimes and just kind of scroll, and then like 4 hours will pass and I'm like, I don't know where time went. And I guess some people do call TikTok the clock app, so it makes sense. Grief is different. But yes, we do hold on to those thoughts. We hold on to those heaviness, that heavy energy. But process the emotion, writing it down. But when I do the pulling motion, it kind of helps sift through the mind space. It's a visual representation of you letting go of that heavy energy, allowing space for kind of new energy to enter. Someone asked me about my thoughts on drinking and meditation. I think everything in moderation is good, but I don't think mixing meditation and drinking quite work. They call alcohol spirits for a reason. There's an energy source to it. There's an energy that kind of helps you loosen up, let go of things, but it's also kind of like a possession in a way. You give away your free will, allow yourself to fall into subconscious, lower realms, lower spirits, lower energies. Like that could happen as well, like when you're under stress. It's just different things. Whereas there's a chemical reaction that happens in the brain when you drink alcohol. It shuts down parts of the brain. I don't know the exact science, I'd have to look it up, but it shuts down receptors that like cause all of that stress. But for me, when I meditate, it's like, it's about being present. And if you're drinking, you're trying to escape. You're trying to feel calm. People call it liquid courage or liquid whatever, but it's you shutting down that part of your brain, that part of your mind, the prefrontal cortex that allows your decision making. It's just that the prefrontal cortex is overwhelmed. So you think you need alcohol, where it's just kind of like, you need meditation. And this is a form of kind of meditation. It's a visualization of what you should be experiencing or can experience. But it's like, it's not just alcohol. It's like being here on the app, scrolling through it. We're looking for that numbness. We're looking to numb out whatever is happening in the mind, where it's like we should just be present in the moment. But we're trying to escape those voices in the head, the inner narrative that's talking. I'll listen to frequencies or shamanic drumming, because more recently, because I'm training under shamanic lineages, shamanic drumming helps me as I go into those mind states where I work in lower world and spirit world. Reiki heals both the practitioner and the person that they're healing. It's not a religion. This is a spiritual practice. No gods are tied with this, no deities. I mix spirituality and science when I can. I work with the earth itself, so I ask the earth to take this heavy energy, to transmute it back into light. But it's also just a visual representation for you. You ever notice your mind is focused on something? You might be looking for something, but as you walk through a door, you forgot what you were looking for, you forgot what you were doing, almost as if that door kind of changed realities. And so that's that's a similar experience to what you'll feel here. Or when I do this, it shifts your perspective, it shifts your energy. So I say I'm pulling the negative energy, but it's kind of distracting the brain, it's distracting the mind, bringing you into the present moment and out of those narratives. People mix a lot of different spiritual practices. It comes down to the individual, what feels right. And so for me, I studied Usui Reiki. Through journeying, I developed my own type of Reiki. through shamanic journeying. That's also changed how I do my one-on-one practices. And then just looking at other Reiki practitioners here on the app, they've adjusted it to an audience. They've adjusted it to make it accessible to everybody. Like for a full healing, it takes like 30 minutes to an hour. But like you could offer enough mental relief in like maybe a 60-second video or 3-minute video. I'm glad that it helps. And yet if you listen to it and you fall asleep, like you still receive the full healing. That energy still goes to you. So one-on-ones work a little bit differently. I'm kind of mixed journeying with Reiki, and so it's a visualization. So we'll kind of pick a place in nature that you like, and then from there we go through the journey of healing through each of the chakras. There are 7 chakras on the energetic body, and each controls something different. Tonight I am specifically working on the throat chakra for everyone that's here, but you might feel it wherever it needs healing. You're still going to feel it. From there we use fire to kind of reignite the chakras, reignite the wheels. I give you the visualization of kind of like dark threads or dark ribbons that are burning away and clearing space from each of the chakras. And then at the end, depending what you need, if there's more thank you for the hat. If there's more that you need, we work on it, connecting to higher self, connecting to spirit guides, cord cutting. Cord cutting's big. Depending where you're at, reaching the Akashic records, connecting with ancestors. There are different things we could do, but it's a mix of like the energy that's around you and the energy you believe in. So if you kind of subscribe to this ideology, these types of esoterics, it's gonna be easier to connect to guides and spirits, those that are there on your path with you. Whereas if this kind of new to you, it takes time, it takes practice. And like I was speaking about in the beginning, it's about that balance. How do you balance 3D? How do you balance the idea of 5D? Because we came here to have the 3D experience, to feel all the energy, to feel all the heaviness, to learn from it. And so like the ideology that there are guides that help us, it's sort of like they're there to nudge us in the right direction. Kind of like if you're playing a video game, someone will pop up and be like, hey, you're on the wrong path, you should do this. And you'll feel that. You'll feel that kind of like on an intuition level. And it'll just kind of be like, do you feel right by doing this? And things like, oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Things like making a decision in life, what career you're doing, what you're studying in school. You have to feel that within you. I love these gifts. Thank you all. I'll do a bit more pulling for maybe another 2 minutes, and then I'm going to start working with different crystals. And so the ideology is that your words become reality. Hearing other people's words also helps create your reality. Oh, I've never seen that before. Thank you all. I mean, what do you... I believe this is real, and my goal here is just to help people. I do want to talk about kind of scammers that are out there. If anyone reaches out to you and they're like, hey, your ancestors have a message for you, those are scammers. Real healers, real people that work with tarot, divination, they don't reach out to you. They're out here, they're showing what they could do. And if you feel called to, that's when you know you should act on it and work with them. But if someone reaches out to you in a message and they're like, hey, you need this or you need that, real healers don't do that. And there's a lot of like scams on TikTok right now. Someone did steal a lot of my videos and started putting things up claiming to be me, and I'm like, the TikTok doesn't let me do much about it, so it just kind of notifying you what it is. I am a witch. My birthday's Halloween, so you could say I was born witchy. Thank you for recognizing. Yeah, on Instagram they do that a lot. Instagram has a ton. TikTok's starting to get a ton. That way, I know there's a lot of you here. If you see any messages from anyone, nope. You're going to feel called to work with a healer that feels right to you, not vice versa. They don't reach out to you. It's not a business model. It's not anything like that. You have to feel that energy yourself. Yep, Scorpio. All right, I'm going to switch over. We're going to start doing a bit of crystal healing with more crystals because this is for throat chakra. This is going to release any heavy, dense energy that's kind of holding your voice back, that's keeping you from speaking your truth. So I'm going to start with blue kyanite. Kind of similar to the others. So I had used selenite before to kind of clear through everything. The belief in magic, but like not there's a balance. That's what I was trying to talk about in the beginning. There's a balance in believing in magic and energy healing, where like this, I know this helps a lot with emotional energy, and like some people say it can help with physical ailments, but I don't like advertising that. I think there should be a mix of spiritual belief and science and medicine. You could close your eyes. And so that's what I like about it. I feel like I live in two worlds. A world that's real, a world that's here in the physical, tangible, and then another world. And like a lot of people say that this is insane, that's wild, but it's like, if you look at writers, they go into their mind spaces, they journey, they experience life differently. They bring back stories from other worlds. And that's a great way of doing shadow work and inner healing as well. Songwriters, the same thing. They take their physical experiences, they turn it into a craft, and they call these things a craft because there's magic in it. Painters, the same thing. They intuitively feel what goes onto the page, what goes onto the canvas, what colors to use. I'm going to go through all the arts. That's what's happening here. Dancers, they feel the flow of reality. They learn how to dance, and even if they mess up, they learn how to kind of just cruise along, keep moving. Even if you think about scientists and mathematicians, they explore their minds and they come back into this reality to write those equations. Stephen Hawking was incredibly paralyzed. All he had was his mind. So he went within his mind, created theories, created ideologies, had visions of what reality is, how space worked. And he brought those theories and proofs, and then we just spend the other scientists help to prove that's what it is. But it's balance. I do believe in the afterlife. But I don't think there's like one individual thought that's right or wrong. I like to think about it kind of like trees or plants, constantly blossoming and flowering, dying, returning to the earth, being reborn in different ways. If you want to dive, like I know there's a bunch of series on people that have had like near-death experiences, and they talk about what they've experienced and what they've felt. Who was it? Michael Newton wrote the book Journey of Souls, and he talks about people that he brought into They were past life regression sessions, but he ended up finding stories of worlds in between. What happens to the soul, what the soul is. And so if you think about it, it's like we're just consciousness experiencing itself. We're all one. We're all one consciousness, but we all experience each other through different stories. Like we're all playing different characters, but we're all still the same character, if that makes sense. But like I still stand by like whatever you believe, run with it. Run with what feels right to you. There doesn't have to be one individual thing that's right. There's nothing that's right. We live on a rock floating in space. I would love to come back as a cat. I have a cat, and he is a very spoiled baby. That's what I want for all of us. Hold on. There was a question. How do you deal with people who don't understand Reiki? I see them in different ways. It depends how they approach me. Do they approach me with curiosity? What's happening here? What's going on? What is Reiki? And those I could speak to a lot more clearly. Those that come in and say that this is fake and witchcraft and devil work, though they're not open-minded enough to try and understand. Existing with pure intention, the intention of healing, the intention of bringing light to others, it helps. I mean, I talk about it a lot. Like if you're walking and you stub your toe, you're gonna instantly grab the toe, trying to help it, try to relieve pain, kind of massaging it. And that's kind of what Reiki is. If you think you can heal, you heal. But if you have trauma that prevents you from healing, it slows you down. It slows the process down. I don't think it's bad to manifest people in your life, but I think it's good to kind of just be open. Don't be too specific on what you want. Know what it should feel like for those people to be in your life. How can you heal from trauma? It's a journey. I don't know if there's a set way of healing, but you develop a toolbox to help with trauma. I'm going to switch to a different crystal. I'm going to switch to bismuth. So still focusing on the throat chakra, but you might feel this in other chakras as well. When you have a trauma, so you could have something like complex PTSD or PTSD, and those are kind of stored in the brain in different ways, and so different things can trigger it. Therapy, first of all, especially if you have had trauma, speaking to a therapist, speaking to someone that understands this. Like I said, lean into the science first, then lean into the spirituality. After that, it's kind of noticing when you're triggered at first. You might feel sad, waves of sadness. You might feel like your world is falling apart. The mind is kind of like cannibalizing itself. It falls into the pattern of how you were in that moment that the trauma happened, and then it starts playing out. And that's where you have to use the different meditation tricks. That's kind of like breath work, EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. And so EFT is sort of like you tap on different meridians on the body. So like between the eyebrows, beside the eye, under the upper lip, bottom lip, and collarbone. There's a few others, but those help bring you back to center. When you work with a therapist with trauma, it's about rewriting the narrative. And this helps with a lot of things that we've experienced, but going back to the past self, offering love and support, reminding yourself that you're safe now, that those events aren't happening here. But it's a lot of rewiring, it's a lot of working. You might have maybe a bit of like blocked energy in the solar plexus, which is kind of the stomach area. So it kind of creates a bit of tension as it's being cleared out. For Judy, I'm focusing more specifically on emotional healing. I like to think of Reiki as helping clearing the mind more than anything else than physical healing. What creates stress? Hold on. What creates stress and anger? That's a good question. It's an emotional response, first of all. A lot of pressure from day-to-day life, deadlines we have to keep up, life events, state of the world, all of that creates stress in the mind. And if we keep focusing on it, it has different effects on the brain where you constantly feel in this heightened state of existence. You might just feel unsafe in the body. And that's why I lean into meditation, lean into breathing. Just because it's a narrative that starts playing in the mind. Anger. Anger is different things. Some say anger is depression that's been suppressed. Sometimes we've been wronged in the way that we deal with things is by being angry. There's nothing wrong with anger. It's just how we react with it. As long as we're not hurting others and trying to understand what the anger is. Where did we feel wrong? Why does it hurt? What triggered me to feel angry? It's true. Stress lowers and weakens the immune system. And so it can affect the body in different ways. Like doing things like meditation, hanging out here, doing things that feel calming. Because we still experience stress. There's certain levels of stress as humans that we're going to experience. But knowing how to balance what we feel, how to bring ourselves back into center, that's important. It's hard not to let the emotions get in the way. Some of us feel a lot of emotions, and sometimes we just have to feel it. Just have to work your way through it. Feel the emotions, journal them, and do shadow work with them. Write them out. They are like waves in the ocean. And then with traumas or like past events, sometimes they just come back up. But it's recognizing that it's an old narrative in the mind that's playing. So shadow work is kind of figuring out what the trigger is and healing from it. So let's say you had a really bad breakup and you remember every aspect of that relationship and you're with someone new and things start happening and you start getting upset because it reminds you of that old relationship. That's when you would start asking where did I develop this fear? Because this energy that's triggering you, it's a fear that a certain event is happening again. And so that's where you would start journaling. Why do I feel this? What triggered me? What brought this energy? And then from there, looking at what you write, looking at what you put down on paper, and figuring out how to reparent yourself, how to heal past that, how to go back to that wounded version of yourself and just heal through that energy. What time is it? I'm going to switch to the next crystal. I'm going to switch over to lapis lazuli. Ways are you already a healer? Yep, no, I'm still going to be around for another 20 to 30 minutes. And yes, those that are looking for crystals, follow Cherie Mystic. That she sent me this lapis lazuli. It's beautiful. So like I said, empath is what I do. Yep. So there's different types of healers. Sometimes just existing is healing. Those that make others laugh, that's a type of healer. Those that act are healers. Those that write heal from their own pain. And then their stories that they share, they heal others through that. Reiki is a form of healing. Meditation is a form of healing. Creating music, listening to music is healing. So I'm still using blue crystals, releasing any blockages in the voice. Your words are important. The way you speak to others, the way you speak to yourself, that's how you create your reality. So using affirmations are important. But also if there's affirmations you're using and you don't feel in your heart that you believe it, you kind of have to do the shadow work and wonder why you don't believe it. What has happened in your life that has made you feel like you're undeserving of the thing that you want? I feel everything, but I create sacred space before I go live, so that way it shields me, shields you guys from each other's energy, creates a safe space in between. Safe space between worlds. My intention is just to heal. So the energy is kind of being sent out like ripples across the world. Reaching you where you need to. Because this energy is not my energy. This is energy that you could tap into. There's energy that exists around you. Someone said they feel like they don't belong. And I feel like that a lot for my own self. We find reasons then to belong. We find reasons to stay. What are the things that make us happy? And it doesn't have to be major things. But finding the small joys in life again. I think that's what that journey is. Reaching out to others. Asking others to help you on that journey. Because we all belong. We all, if you look at the Dolores Cannon material, if you look at the Michael Newton material, we chose this reality, we chose this existence, we chose to be here because there's something we need to learn, something we need to experience. I personally don't connect to my ancestors because we don't have a great time together, but others can. I'm trying to catch a ride on a spaceship. We connect with our ancestors to heal because in the shamanic lineage that we work with, in our DNA is stored 7 generations of past trauma, past battles that they've struggled with. So we connect with them on a spiritual level to understand what they are healing from. And then us healing and doing the shadow work affects 7 generations forward. Your children, your children's children. Your old family, your grandmothers, the grandfathers, the great-grandmothers, the great-grandfathers. You see it in studies with mice. Because they like to experiment on mice a lot. But if certain mice are triggered or they're taught to fear something, passed down in the next generation. And if they're separated and grow up on their own, they'll experience the same fears and worries. It's stored in the DNA. So there's always the battle in psychology, nature versus nurture. What is inherent, what is learned, and what are we born with? So a lot of the stress we might feel, it could honestly just be compressed stress from previous generations. So if you connect with ancestors, that's why you connect with them. Look at their story, look at what they struggled with. Look at your triggers, look at what triggers you, and that probably triggered them back in the past. And that's why we feel all that we feel. I feel like our generation feels more than any other previous generation. And others will see that as weak, but emotions aren't weak. Feeling our emotions and expressing them is important. And so a lot of people have experienced kind of sort of like narcissistic abuse in different ways, just because going back to previous world wars, people experienced great traumas, and when the wars were over, they were returned home, and that trauma was then passed down to children and the children's children, and here we are. That's why it's our job to heal, connect with those ancestors. Mines I'm not fond of. Every time I talk to them, they're like, reconnect with the entire lineage, connect and heal with everybody. But I'm not, I don't know. I love healing. I love connecting with people. Family's a tricky place for me. There was a question. How can I help my son understand him being an empath? Advice. Are there triggers? Like, is it too much energy he's feeling? Is it just too stressful with the energy that he's feeling? Getting them to talk, kind of asking them, like, if they seem triggered or agitated, kind of asking them, like, what's happening? What does it feel like? Where do you feel it in your body? Because as empaths, we'll feel the emotions and not understand them, but we'll feel them as clusters inside of the body, kind of like the chest tightening, shortness of breath. So asking what's the emotional state, what is the physiological state, what is happening with the body? Because they might just be absorbing a ton of energy from other people. And so learning grounding techniques helps a lot. Going into nature, but being present with nature. Sitting on the grass, sitting on the ground. Literally kind of like rubbing your hands together, resting your hands over your eyes as well will help clear through the third eye chakra. And I feel that helps bring me back to center. Saying that you're in a bubble of light, imagining yourself in a bubble of light, asking any heavy energy to be released or removed. I feel like that's good advice for empaths. Yep, this is lapis lazuli. I'm gonna switch, what's the next one, to solidite. Yep. With addiction, so that's a pattern in the brain. So that's sort of like understanding what's triggering, realizing when you're reaching for something to kind of distract you. So I wouldn't say crystals. It might help with like anxiety or just something simple, emotional states. But for kind of addictions, you do need to work, depending how bad it is, working through therapy, understanding why you're addicted to whatever you feel called to. And it could be anything. We could be addicted to social media, to coffee, distractions. Solidite with a side of fries. That sounds good right now. A lot of energy, a lot of stress. I don't know if it's like winter where you're at, but if it's cold energy and heavy energy, you just feel tired. You just feel sleepy. Because I'm just sending Reiki energy, you might be feeling it in different areas. I'm focusing mainly on the throat chakra, but you can feel it throughout the body. It's the blue Snow. Yeah, I think I'm in New York. We're about to get hit with some snow tomorrow. Yep. Drained from family. When you're going around family, kind of, like I said before, kind of imagine yourself in a bubble of light, in a shield of light. It helps a little bit. When you leave, resting your hand on your heart, just saying, like, I release any energy I might have picked up that is not mine. Family knows how to trigger us, and that's where we do the shadow work. But it is rough. Emotional eating. Understanding what emotions we're running from by eating certain things. Yep. Lock the gate and hide in the car, creating your own safe bubble away from certain energies and certain people. Yep. There's a lot of energy, and people pick up a lot of energy and they bring it around. They don't realize it. Yeah, this is very kind of like, I'll call it sleepy energy. Just because like it's heavy. It's moving a lot of heavy energy. So you're gonna be feeling it shifting throughout the week. So after this, definitely drink water, stay hydrated. I'm still gonna be on for a little bit, but everyone please follow my moderators. They're all amazing, powerful. Yep. That's my goal, just creating a safe space, because I know what it's like to feel unsafe in the world all of the time. So finding a space that's just calm and quiet. These videos I normally post back up on my YouTube a few days after. That way, if ever, oh, thank you. If ever you need to just kind of reconnect or have something playing in the background, that's up there. Reiki travels through time and space. So even though that was all the videos were recorded in the past, it travels wherever it needs to go. It goes to who it needs to go to. Yep. Maybe warm, maybe tingly. You'll feel that energy. Wishing you luck on the exam. You're safe now. You're out of the exam. I have to imagine myself literally in a shield of armor, in a bubble of energy. I did shamanic rites with my mentor, so I kind of had, like, I can visualize bands of energy creating a bubble around me, and that helps me. This is solidite. Thank you all for hanging out. So it's probably charging the sacral chakra, removing any heavy energies and then just filling it with light, kind of allowing you to tap back into that creative energy. I'm glad that it helped. Let me know how you're all feeling. So right now I'm using blue crystals because I'm charging up the throat chakra. And that was my main intention. Solidite, I have it written down here. Harmony, healing, communication. That's my goal, opening space so that you could heal that voice. That way you could speak your reality into being, speak your mind, speak your affirmations. Literally, your words are spells. If you feel unsafe, say, I shield myself, I protect myself. You're shielded, you're protected. What resources would you recommend to understand more? I guess if you mean kind of Reiki healing, just kind of researching online Reiki, different Reiki techniques. I communicate authentically. I think there's like a free Reiki course on YouTube that kind of just helps walk you through like the different chakra points on the body, different self-healing modalities. For me, it's Usui, but also a mix of my own technique. But yes, Usui. I wanted to learn Holy Fire, but like after I learned Usui, I'm not sure if I need to dive into all the different Reiki techniques. But I know Holy Fire is big right now. On my one-on-ones, I do use fire. Bad anxiety. Getting out of the situation that makes you feel anxious, first of all. That's big. Deep breathing or just focused breathing, that helps. Or even inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, but as if you're blowing through a straw. That helps. But I feel like deep breathing, just breathing in deeply. There's something called box breathing that helps as well, where you inhale for the count of 4, hold your breath for the count of 4, exhale for the count of 4, hold your breath again for the count of 4, and then begin. Emotional freedom technique is something I'd recommend. Bringing yourself back into present moment, EFT tapping. Literally pull out the notes app or get a journal and just start writing down, I feel anxious because, or just start describing what you're feeling. Meditations you could do just really quickly, like if you pull out like a book and start reading, that's going to help. Reading out loud, if there are no books, just anything that you have that you could read out loud, or just noticing what's around you and describing it. Bottles with water in it, the water is clear, just kind of narrating it, and that helps bring you back to the present moment, because the anxiety is the patterns and the loops running around in the mind over and over again. And so that's what that energy is. So you feel unsafe as the anxiety is running through you. Being outside, being in sunlight, just getting away from everything and just deep breathing, that should help. But also recognize where the anxiety came from, what caused it, what energy stacked up. I was watching a video earlier this week just sort of on ADHD and like stress levels. And like any stress levels people with ADHD might have, it could just, the slightest thing could send us over the edge, just because we're already handling so much sensory intake that the smallest thing could throw you overboard. I love it. Enjoy that pizza. Pizza is life. How do you do that? I guess Reiki with many people. For me, it's about visualization. So I try to keep everything as simple as possible. So I kind of imagine kind of like an orb of light blossoming around the planet, blossoming around everything. And then I set the intention that anyone that needs healing, they're either going to feel it or they're going to jump into the live and feel it. What time is it? All right. We can do a little bit more clearing now. Well, not clearing, but I'm going to send a bit of selenite energy to you. Selenite's high vibrational energy. Thank you, Jess. If you want, just taking a deep breath in, slowly exhaling. And as you do, any remaining heaviness, let go of it. Let it fade away. I love that. They had the zoomies, now they're just hanging out. Could just be the energy moving. Some rest will help, but I believe it's energy that's just moving out. There might be a lot of heavy energy inside of the third eye or crown chakra. Empaths, introvert, and people with ADHD. I'm not sure. Hold on. I'm trying to understand the question. I've always considered empaths introvert and people with ADHD extrovert. It's just, I don't know. I feel like, because I have a mix of like ADHD, and I'm like, here I'm talkative, but like when I'm just on my own, I'm just super quiet. So it's like, it's a balance of quiet and then extroverted energy. I guess they could kind of dance between both, but like if you have so much going on in the brain, you have no choice but to kind of like bounce around and talk about those ideas out loud. Selenite's my favorite too. Selenite and obsidian, those are my two favorites. I mean, everything I have here, everyone that comes and hangs out with me. Like, the question was, what have I manifested while on my spiritual journey? Internal healing, building a following, helping so many people, learning from other healers. There were so many trials, but it's like, that's the thing, when you manifest something, it pushes you over the edge, because it has to remove any old programming, anything that holds you back, then to throw you forward to where you need to go. I mean, that's not an insult. Placebos are powerful. The placebo effect. Pharmaceuticals give half people actual medicine and the other half people sugar pills, and they tell them it's going to help, and they tell everyone that they're all real pills. In the end, everybody heals the same. If you think you could heal certain things, you can heal from. If you believe it enough. But also the thing with that too is that if you have a trauma or a stigma that keeps you from believing that that's possible, there's the same thing with manifestations. It holds you back, and it does stop that healing process. So there's nothing wrong with the placebo. If the placebo works, is it really a placebo? That's a good question. In science, yes, it is just considered that, because science can't explain it yet. Science doesn't really understand, like, why if I told you that this is going to help you, it's going to help you. And for me, it's power in words. I tell you this crystal is going to help you. Crystal's going to help you. I tell you you're going to heal. You're going to heal. Maybe it's all just for show. But if it works, it works. I'm going to send you all just pure light energy now. For me, I feel it. So this, I believe. The Reiki, I feel. Anything you want to be real becomes real in your reality. And I do believe of the 8 billion people on the planet, there could be 8 billion separate realities that exist that have somewhat similar but also somewhat different rules to them. I think of the book Ready Player One, and there's a sentence in it that's like, some worlds have science, some worlds have magic, and some worlds have both. I try to dabble in both, just to understand both. It's whatever works for you, whatever feels intuitive to you. As long as you stay grounded within yourself, within your own reality, within your own vision, not letting too much magical thinking get in the way. That's the thing. But also not becoming too over-analytical, because that could also get in the way. Yep. So tingling is the feeling of Reiki. Some people could feel it as tingling or cold energy or heat. Yep, exactly that. Quartz crystals, like in everything, it powers the phone that I'm on, the phone that you're on. It's powerful. And if you want, kind of imagine a shield of light opening up around you, kind of blossoming like flowers. It could be any color that you want, but know that it's always there. Know that you're shielded and protected. If you want, just take a deep breath in. Just slowly exhale. And if you want, imagine any remaining heaviness or darkness being pulled away, being let go, like shadows in the wind. Yep. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for hanging out. Please follow my moderators. They're all amazing, wonderful, powerful. Trying to think. There's a part where I always forget what I need to say. Forget who I am by the end of these things. Later this weekend I'll try and post this up, but I have past Reiki healings located on my YouTube. I have an insight timer that I'm working on. Everything's linked in my link tree. One-on-ones are in my link tree. I'm trying to figure out Patreon and how that works and like what content would be good for people. So I just started that up. That's in the link tree. Next Friday, I'm going to start a little bit earlier. I'm going to start at 9 Eastern, but I've linked that in my bio that we could sign up for it, that we guys could hang out. Trying to remember what else is there. What is a link tree? So in my bio, it just looks like a website link, but I keep all of my links for everything there. For my one-on-one sessions, for my social media, my YouTube. That way everyone could just go to one place. Hey, Delicate Healer. How are you doing? And then, yeah, this music is also up on my YouTube, so you could check that out. So lower stomach, that could potentially be solar plexus or sacral. So that could be energy that's moving. Sweaty palms. That's energy that's still moving as well. Suntan, how are you? Thank you for registering. I'm trying to think what else. Also, like a lot of my content that I'm putting out now on my TikTok, it's just like 2 to 3 minute videos of just kind of quick healing. That way, if you ever just need like a quick pick-me-up, that's up there. Mom's spaghetti. Spaghetti sounds good right now. How do you heal solar plexus? If you want, just kind of rubbing your hands together and imagining a ball of light or energy in your hands, and just kind of resting that just above the belly button, holding your hands there. And then from there, imagining radiant light flowing through you, kind of clearing through that heaviness, clearing through that shadow. And you could do that anywhere along the body. Even if you feel physical pains, you could try that. Because this energy, everyone kind of has this energy. It's just that taking a Reiki course will attune you more to that energy. But like you kind of have that natural energy already. Someone said something about spaghetti and now I want some. Who's inviting me? I'm joking. Alright, everyone. I'm gonna head out. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your weekend. I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye. Oh, because they said their palms are sweaty. If someone has spaghetti, they'll let me know. I'm joking. Alright, bye.